Guys, welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to look into today is the case of Amanda Antoni. It's recently been featured on the Netflix series Unsolved, and after I watched it, I'm like, I don't know, I can't get it out of my head. It is doing my head in because I don't know. It just is, okay? It'll probably do your head in once we go through it all. So let's get to that and jump right in. Amanda Antoni was born on the 5th of June in 1984, and at the age of 2 months old, she was actually sent into foster with her soon-to-become mother and father. They soon adopted her. They absolutely fell in love with her. She had gorgeous blue eyes. She was such a lovely baby, and they fell in love with her. And they already had 2 children, which were 2 sons. At that point, were a decent amount older than Amanda. But she was kind, compassionate, that showed from an early age, and it carried on throughout her life. She was very friendly, had a lovely nature, was very social, easily made friends, absolutely adored animals, to the point where she would bring in any stray that she could. Well, if she could. It gets to a point where you just can't anymore. And she would adopt animals, cats, dogs. She absolutely loved them all. She also was a vegetarian, which I believe that stemmed from loving the animals so much. But not only animals, she also loved helping people as well. The family just adored her. At the age of 20, she wanted to become more independent, and she decided that she was going to move out, which she did. And this is where she would then go ahead to meet Lee Antoni, who would become her future husband. After a good few years of dating, they decided to tie the knot. I believe it was 2009 they got married. And they just loved spending time together. They would go out hiking, loved outdoor activities, all of that. They had their quabbles, they had their arguments, but just like every other couple, it was said even by Amanda's family that they both loved each other. Now, there was some tensions in the relationship with regards to Lee not being able to... I think he wasn't able to keep down a job very well. I'm not sure of the circumstances as to why, which meant that Amanda, I believe she did a cleaning service, a home cleaning service. She was the one who was funding basically everything. So that did have some tensions, but nothing major. Now, on this year in particular, it was 2015. Lee's father had actually sadly passed away, so he had arranged this trip to go up to Saskatchewan. Oh, by the way, they lived in Calgary. I think it's in Canada. I think it's a Canadian case. I'm not very good with places. So he was going up to Saskatchewan, which was quite a drive, but Amanda was supposed to go with him. Now, he'd never really spent a night away from Amanda, but on this day in particular, she actually said that she had this really big migraine. She didn't feel great and she didn't want to go. So he went up on his own and he started doing the weekend trip on his own. So he drove all of the way there. And that was that. All the time he was there, most of the time he was there, made regular contact with Amanda. They were talking, they were texting, saying, I love you. I'm asking how she is, yada, yada, yada. And then on the 26th of October in 2015, which was the Monday, he was gonna come home, which he did. So on that Monday, the 26th, so the 24th would have been his last point of contact with Amanda, because on the Saturday, he was talking to her on the phone. And then he said he heard the dog back, and they had a dog called Ruby. They also had 2 cats. I think one was called Gizmo. I'm not sure what the other one was called, actually. The name escapes me. Maybe it'll come back to me. But he actually heard Ruby barking. Then he said he heard a yelp. And then he heard, like, a bang or a crash or something like that. And then the phone went dead. He texted her after that. Nothing. She didn't answer. So he just kind of thought, I think it was about 7-ish at night at this point, that, maybe a phone died. You never ever think, well, most people don't think the worst. Some people do, but a lot of people don't, I suppose. So he didn't think anything of it, basically. And that was that. Then the Sunday he tried to contact her all day, he tried to ring the landline and stuff, nobody answered. Again, no contact Sunday. So on Monday he decides that he's just going to drive home and surprise her, and, you know, she'll just be waiting for him. So that's what he does. On the 25th, he drives home. He gets home at about 3:45 p.m. Lee entered the house and he unlocked the front door, which he specifically remembers doing. And Ruby was running around, and he thought, oh, she needs the toilet, so he went straight through the back. He thought it was very strange because the bowls were empty, the water and food. There was actually the smell of, like, dog urine, or cat urine. Well, no, dog urine, I suppose, because I guess they had a litter tray in the house, which was, you know, strange because she always went outside. But anyway, he went outside and he let Ruby out of the back door. Now, he doesn't recall whether this was locked because it was just so natural for him to just let the dog out that he has no idea whether that was locked or not, whether he actually unlocked it to let her out. And that is a key point in this as well. He goes upstairs, he looks for Amanda, she's not there. He looks everywhere and she's just not anywhere. Now, the only place that she could possibly be, because all her stuff was still her phone, her keys, her keys and her purse and stuff was still there. There was something a bit strange. One of the tables were overturned and Amanda's phone was actually lying face down on the floor and it was broken. So he then went to the basement, which was the only other place that she could be. And my God, did he find something horrific. Which is when this 911 call came in.
911 for what town or city?
Calgary.
Ambulance, police, or fire?
Oh my God, all.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
I don't know, and I just came home, and I found my wife downstairs, and I saw it everywhere.
Are you with her now?
No.
Is she awake? Is she breathing?
Oh my God.
Is she breathing?
Hold on a second. There's so much blood. Oh, she's gone.
I'm sending help. I'm sending someone to assist you.
Now, on that 911 call, Lee genuinely does sound absolutely devastated. I know that I always try and analyse these because you always try and think, is it genuine? Is it real? I personally think that Lee was very real on that, and it was just such a tragic, horrific shock. Because obviously, when things like this happen, they always look to the spouses. Basically, he had found Amanda deceased in the basement, and blood was absolutely everywhere. Like, there was a pool of blood, it was everywhere. She was covered in blood. Just a horrific scene to find, and he was absolutely distraught about it. Police come around, they try and collect fibers, footprints. I believe there were 12 sets of footprints, bare feet. Amanda was found on the way down the stairs to the basement. This basement was very unsafe, like completely unsafe. I would be scared even walking past it because it didn't have a barrier or anything. It was very easily, the way it went is like 4 steps and then it angled round to the rest to go down to the basement, and it was all on the level, and you could just fall straight over that. You genuinely could. But they had a shelf, so picture yourself going down these stairs. The shelf is on your left, and it had a couple of items on it, and there was a washing basket on the left too, at the top of the stairs. And this piggy bank on the way down the stairs was actually smashed. It looked like a sheep to me, in the shape of a sheep. The front of it was smashed off. And you could find that pieces of that halfway down the stairs, and also pieces of that were found in Amanda's forehead. So it seems like she has gone into this piggy bank head first, probably tumbled down the stairs, and then, well, who knows. But it's very strange because she was found with her sort of leggings halfway down. She had slippers on, but they were in the basement, so she must have had them on. They were found in the basement, but none of the footprints were slipper prints. They were all barefoot. It's just so strange. She had tons of bruises. Either way, they sent her off for an autopsy, and they were treating it like a suspicious death straight away because there was just so much blood. It was absolutely horrific. Of course, they began looking into everything. They began scouring the neighborhood. Neighbors came back and said that they had heard on the Saturday, around the same time that Lee was on the phone to her, when he heard these things, they had heard a dog barking. They had heard like a yelp come from the house or something similar. And they also saw a man running through Amanda's yard. Now, there was never anything to corroborate this or to say that this is definitely somebody that could have been running from Amanda's. It could have been, it couldn't have been, who knows, because it was just a fleeting moment. There was no proof of it or anything. I believe they did check security cameras, but didn't get anything from that either. So they begin looking into it. Amanda's autopsy finally comes back, and she died to like massive blood loss due to like a head trauma. There was no SA on her, nothing like that. She obviously was covered in bruises and things, but when the forensic evidence came back as well, all of the footprints in the basement were Amanda's. All the DNA was Amanda's. They didn't find anything at all to say that anybody else had been there at all. So then they were looking into, could it maybe not be a homicide and be something else? Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Of course, they looked into Lee. He had a pretty tight, solid alibi. He told him the journey up to Saskatchewan, and they followed him. He said that he stopped off at this gas station. They checked the CCTV. He was there. So they're pretty certain that it wasn't Lee. They even looked into the possibility of him potentially hiring somebody to do this whilst he was away so that he had an alibi, but there was no evidence of that either. They looked into whether there was evidence of Amanda ever having an affair, because apparently the underwear that Amanda had on was a bit fancier than Lee said she normally wore. But they found no evidence of her having an affair either. So the case was just a stump, really. This happened in 2015, and obviously we're in 2024 now, and it's still we don't know what happened to Amanda. The detectives did go to not forensics, but where they can recreate potentially what happened, and they did say that it could have potentially been that she had just simply fallen down the stairs. The way that the basement angle was, she could have maybe fallen over the dog or something, fallen into that piggy bank, smashed it into her face, fell down the stairs, which could explain the bruising and the things that she had all over her body, and then obviously the bleeding came from the head injury. But what really gets me as well is that all them footprints in the basement, Amanda was walking around down there bleeding profusely for God knows how long. She even at one point, because the footprints literally show it, her footprints are faced at the bottom of the stairs, looking up. So she could have just climbed up those stairs, and yet she didn't. She never got out of that basement. She walked around it, and then she died in there. But the thing that could go towards that as well is that if you have a head injury and it confuses you and disorientates you that much, and maybe she just had no idea where she was, she didn't know what was going on, and she physically couldn't climb the stairs because she was so out of it, pretty much. And then sadly she died in there, which is, if that's the case, that is so heartbreaking, because she was literally there at the bottom of the stairs. If she could have climbed them stairs and even just got outside or rang someone, then maybe she could have gotten some help. But then you got to look at the other side of it, because what if somebody actually did this to her? The thing that really gets me is the overturned chair and the broken phone, because it wasn't anywhere near where she fell, if she fell, where the basement was, pretty much. It was all the way across the room. So it's not like she stumbled over the chair and fell into the basement. There has been speculation that maybe the dog knocked over a chair because she was being, I don't know, a bit boisterous. She knocked over a chair. Maybe she bumped into Amanda and knocked her phone from her hand, which then smashed onto the floor, broken. That made Amanda angry. She then chased after the dog to tell her off and fell down the stairs. But Nothing else was disturbed either, which I find very funny. Like the laundry at the top of the stairs, nothing was disturbed. The dog never, or the cats never went downstairs because there was never any paw prints found in the blood. So they never went down to check if she was okay, which animals normally do. So I find that very, very strange too. Like, why did the dog not go down? Unless it's because the dog, if that was the case, she was angry with the dog and the Ruby thought, I'm not going down there, she's mad with me, and so didn't go down. My thought on it though as well is, once the blood was dry, would they be able to tell if the dog went down or the cat went down? Because they're going off paw prints and there was none. So once all that blood dried up, the animals could have gone down there and come back up without leaving marks that they'd gone down there. So that was my thought on it. But if you're going down the route of, you believe more like she was actually attacked, murdered, thrown down the stairs, they tested the pig. There was no evidence. Piggy bank. It was a sheep. They tested that. There was no evidence of anything. The layer of dust on top had not been disturbed. There was an indent in the wall, so it's as if a force had gone onto the pig and it had indented the wall and it had broke off the front, which also ties in with her smashing her face open on it. But I put forward that say that somebody was there and somebody did this to Amanda. Either they went into her home as an intruder and maybe didn't intend on actually killing her. She, crapped herself, obviously, and started like running away, maybe tripped over and then ended up in the basement, or maybe they pushed her near the basement or something, or they tried to grab her and then she ended up falling down, or they pushed her, because then there would be no need to grab this piggy bank. It wasn't like it was grabbed and smashed over her head because the dust hadn't been disturbed and there was no fingerprints. But that's not to say that someone couldn't have just given her a shove. She smashed her head on it. It doesn't disturb it then because only Amanda's touching it. Falls down the stairs. She stood at the bottom of the stairs looking up, didn't want to go back up there because she was terrified that somebody was still up there. And the person actually running away in the back garden, that the neighbours saw was maybe the person that did this to Amanda. And maybe, so then there's no other footprints down there or anything. Obviously, if somebody did this to her, they did not go down there. But if they didn't mean to or whatever, they probably thought, oh crap, and just ran. Like, get out of there, and left her. They didn't intend on killing her, so they didn't go down to see whether they finished her off. Who knows? Now, I really don't know on this one. Because, like, both of them are so plausible. Was it just a terrible accident where she tripped and fell down the basement and, again, was just so out of it, she didn't have a clue what was going on? Or was it something more sinister? And I really want to lean towards more sinister because of the upturned chair, the phone. I don't know. And the thing with the dog, how I said he didn't know if he unlocked the back door. If that was not locked, somebody could have easily got in by there. And that neighbourhood was apparently, I'm not saying this, but apparently it was well known to be pretty, well, there was a lot of criminal activity there. They've also, both Amanda and Lee reported before that people had gone into their back garden and taken stuff out. And that worried them, so people had been in their garden. So if that back door was unlocked, which is so frustrating that he doesn't remember, that is just really, really, like, that could tell it all. Because if he knew for sure that was locked, there was no sign of a break-in or anything, then you'd probably lean more towards she fell down the stairs. But I just think that maybe somebody came in that back door. Maybe they were having an argument or something. Lee even put suspicion on his own sister in the Netflix series. Like, apparently his sister hated him because I'm not quite sure, something to do with social services taking away children because of Lee, I think. So he even pointed the finger at her and said, like, maybe it was her. And who knows, maybe it was. Maybe she went in to have an argument with her and Amanda, I don't know, she pushed her. and then she fell downstairs, and that was it. I'm not saying that that's true. That's pure speculation. But just because it was brought up in the actual episode, you know, it could be true. I don't think she was having an affair, because maybe other people have speculated that she was having an affair and it was just the result of that gone wrong. That she ended up falling, like being pushed or falling down the stairs because of it. I really don't know. But I think more like she was murdered. I'd like to know what your thoughts are, because it's genuinely going around in my head and going around in my head, and then I'm like, but this happened, and then, but this makes it look like it was accidental, and this makes it look like it wasn't. It was more foul play. Please, please tell me what you guys think, because I would love to know. But yeah, that is the end of this case. I really hope that this episode brings new light to it. I've read that so do the Calgary police. You know, they really hope that somebody can shed something on this case, because it's just so much of nothing, basically. But if it was an accident, then you can understand why. It just breaks my heart. The family, you know, her brothers were so close, her parents were so close to her. Just absolutely devastated when this happened to their little sister and daughter. As you can imagine, they just want answers. They want to know what happened, whether it was an accident or whether something more sinister happened. So yeah, please, if you know anything, report it to the authorities. If you have any opinions or theories or know any more information that I've left out, put it in the comments, because I would love to read them all, and I just want to know what you guys think on this one. But yeah, that's the end of this case. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.